This is probably one of the most unique series I've ever done. And the feedback that I'm getting is really, really encouraging in that we are really getting a handle on understanding that if we're ever going to clean up our cussing, our language, we've got to clean up our attitude. It's all about attitude. See, the goal is in cussing and using profanity and, stopping doing those vile things coming out of our mouth. The goal is not getting replacement words, We don't need cleaner words to take over for the dirty words. What we really, really need is an attitude update so that we don't need to cuss. See, what causes us to cuss is our attitude. And so this is what we're going to be talking about today, a good bit. Hopefully it gets across to us what I want to do. See, it's not only the words, it's the intensity of the words. See, what happens is we've learned that what comes out of our mouth comes from our heart. And when that comes up, it goes through the attitude. And the attitude either lets it out, holds it in, or the attitude gives it force as it comes out. Am I right? And the attitude can do destruction because it's not just the word. It's the intensity of the word that's coming through and out of that attitude. Now, last time, and most times, this is the third lesson, but the first lesson, I really talked a lot about your PC, your personal computer, and how it likens to your PC, your personal character. And we talked the first time a lot about the CPU unit, right, in the computer, which is likened to our heart, the central processing unit. Your heart is your central processing unit. Then last time, what I really talked about was the firewall that's inside of the computer. And it's that firewall that I really want to emphasize because that's what we're really after. In a computer, in a personal computer, PC, the firewall stops stuff. It's just a software program that's in the computer. There's really not a wall inside your computer. There's a little software program. And what its intent is to do is to stop malware or viruses and negative stuff from coming into your computer. That's its primary purpose. Because if it can stop it from coming in, then it doesn't have to worry about it being in. But sometimes stuff gets in there. See, the other purpose of the firewall in a computer is to stop stuff from getting out. It's there to stop your personal information from going out into the World Wide Web and people using it. It's to stop things like your credit card information from going out. Because if this malware gets in, it's not in there just to defile your computer and make all these nasty pictures come up. What it's in there to do is to send out information about you. And so it'll send out your credit card information. It'll send out your PIN numbers. It'll send out your social security stuff. It'll send out your bank account information. So it becomes vital that firewall is strong, that firewall remains updated, and that firewall stays renewed. So, this is what, see, I don't know if you guys are familiar with all I'm talking about. I don't want to get too techie, but I always read the Windows updates that go into my computer. I just want to know what's going in there. And 80% of the updates that Windows gives us to update our computer are security related. Now, why is that? It's because if you'll read it, what it'll say is that we have discovered a breach in your firewall. And this stuff can now get in, and you need to download this update to plug up this hole. Because what this malware will do is go through it, around it, over it, under it, but it's going to look for a way to get in. And if it gets in, it's going to do damage to your identity. The very first line of identity theft for your life is that firewall in your computer. Because if it gets in there, your identity goes out, and you are experiencing identity theft. Now, in our personal character, in our personal lives, the firewall is the attitude. Your attitude will stop stuff from getting to you and then getting into you, and it will stop aspects of your identity from coming out that you don't want anybody to know is in you. Are you with me? See, if this stuff gets into you, if all of this negative stuff gets through your firewall, your attitude, and gets into your life, this horrific stuff is going to come out of you. Stuff you don't want to come out of you. So it becomes extremely important that we understand that the attitude is the firewall for our lives. But not just this, and this is what I really want to emphasize today. This attitude thing it will affect every single area of your life. And I'm hoping I'm able to communicate this to you today. Now, we talked about that a little bit last time, about the firewall and needing it to continuously be updated. Last Sunday, I went up to see Judy in the hospital, and if you don't know, she had gallbladder surgery, but we didn't know that we was going to do that. I thought I was going to get her on Sunday and bring her home. Well, on the way up there, she calls, and she says, listen, they've found out that I'm going to have gallbladder surgery. And the doctor's coming in a little while, and I need you to be here in this room when he comes. Now, I'm here. I got to go to Memorial. So, I got to go. Now, I'm going up 27, and I am convinced there's this plot against me. That, okay, he's driving, let's block him, and I don't care. I know it's a conspiracy. Because here's why I know. Because I don't care if there's 2 lanes, 1 lane. I don't care if there's 5 lanes. They're going to block me where I can't get around. I don't care what I do. It's a conspiracy. I'm satisfied that it is. And so I could not get around. And I felt my attitude going sour. Now, I had just an hour before that said, about updating your attitude. And so I caught myself. My attitude's going sour. Update your attitude, Delbert. And I did. And so what I did, I had a peace that came. I just relaxed, sat back, had a peaceful situation. There wasn't anything that my attitude was going to do to move these cars. Right? So I just relaxed and sat back and allowed the opening to happen, and then I went on. What I'm wanting to tell you is that your attitude determines so much about life. You can update your attitude. When you know it's going sour, and we have a couple of seconds before it hits us, we can grab it and we can say, okay, let's update this attitude. Let's get a better attitude. Let's adjust my attitude. Let's clean up my attitude. And actually, it works every single time. So this is what we're going to be looking at and trying to approach things about today. I want to read a scripture, and it's concerning children, and I want to bring what we do to children into this. So it's in the book of Proverbs, chapter 5 and verse 1. It says, my son, or we could say, my child, pay attention to my wisdom. Pay attention to my wisdom. Listen well to my words of insight. Pay attention and listen well. Now, the truth of the matter is this, is that our children do pay attention to our wisdom and our lack of it. And our children, truthfully, do listen well to what we say and our insight or our lack of it. And a lot of times when we have this toilet attitude and it explodes and it throws mess all over the wall and the environment and anybody around us, and when these profanities and cursings and swearings and blasphemies and this anger and this hate comes out of us, it spews all over everyone. A lot of times, our children are there. Now, sometimes, and I'll give it to you, sometimes it's the children that caused it. They actually lit the fuse. But sometimes they're just there when you go off and you explode, and it gets all over them. So they see you handle your life. Now, what we've done is we've not only induced them into the world of profanity with a word of filth, we've also induced them into the world of attitude. They will duplicate that word. You do understand that. I read a statistic that children will use a profanity word, a word of cursing, before they know the alphabet. They will duplicate that word, but what they'll also duplicate is that attitude. What happens is that we've expressed to them not only the word, but we've shown them our incapability of dealing with life. We've shown them that we can't handle the things that come along in life that frustrate us, that aggravate us, the annoyances of life. And we show them the way to handle them is with profanity. The way to handle them is with exploding and letting this rotten toilet attitude explode all over everyone. They will duplicate it all. They're listening well. They're listening to our words, and they're paying attention to our wisdom. And so it becomes vital that we make sure our attitude remains updated, if for no other reason, for our children. But that's not the only reason. This is just one of the reasons that I want to attempt to project to you today. Attitude becomes extremely important of what we show and show our children. We show them that we are vulnerable from things from the outside getting in, and that we are vulnerable once those things get in, exploding out. And if we don't update that firewall, if we don't update that attitude, this is how we're going to go through life and train our children to cuss. All right. Now, I want to give us a thought along these lines. One of the books that I've used in my preparation for this series, and it's a really good one, is a book by James O'Connor. And the book's titled Cuss Control, the complete book on how to curb your cussing. Now, all the things that I've read and listened to and attempted to do to prepare for this is the best. And I really encourage you to obtain it. You can get it on Kindle, and it's humorous. He does a great job. But one of the things that he wrote about in there was a high school principal whose name is Larry Hensley Marchand. He's a high school principal at Southport High School in Indianapolis. What this principal did, is he decided that he would reinstitute a long-ignored policy on no profanity in school. And his purpose of doing this was to help the language of the students, to help the students better form sentences and use the English language in a better way. But he learned that there was another benefit that came with this. And I want to show you the quote from this principal. I want to show you that what he said here. He said, every semester we had 10 or more fights in the halls, the cafeteria, or the gym. And the fact, in the first semester that we forbid cursing and swearing, the fights were reduced to 3. Now that's 70% reduction just by curbing the cursing, just by instituting this no curse deal in school. Okay. Now, with that said, do you think that cursing and profanity and obscenities and blasphemies and these things are connected with violence? Just this thought. Those young people, they weren't children, they were young people who killed so many students and teachers at these different high schools over the years. I know the one that was elementary was Sandy Hook Elementary School. That's one of the more recent ones. You had Heritage High School. You had, what was the name? Columbine. That's the one I was trying to pull up. That's probably the one that's the most familiar. Columbine High School. Do you suppose those young people who pull those triggers, and do you suppose they used profanity? Do you suppose they cussed? Do you suppose they had toilet attitudes? And if so, where do you suppose they may have heard it first? Where do you suppose they acquired that angry attitude that accompanies profanity? Where do you suppose they may have heard it first? Do you think that violence is associated with profanity? Let me say it another way. Do the violent people that you know, do they cuss? Do they use profanity? Isn't that amazing? Well, the Bible goes along with that. The Bible warns us about that. And I want to show you 3 scriptures along this way. 2 out of Proverbs and 1 out of the New Testament in Colossians. But in Proverbs chapter 29, verse 11, look at this. It says, a fool. Now that's this person's identity that's gotten through the firewall. He's showing everybody he's a fool. A fool gives full vent to his anger. There's no firewall. full vent. But a wise man keeps himself under control, keeps the attitude updated, keeps himself under control, doesn't let that stuff out, doesn't let that stuff in. Proverbs 29:22. An angry man stirs up dissension, fuels it. Fuels it. And one of the primary ways that we're going to fuel stuff like this is with profanity. It fuels it, dissension. And a hot-tempered one commits many sins. Many sins. Violence, angry, rage, malice, being mean, doing mean things. Slander, talking about people. Using dirty language, filthy words, which is exactly what Colossians 3:8 says. But now you must rid yourselves. And every time I read this scripture, I always want to point that out. This is something you have to rid yourself of. Nobody's going to pray for you and cast the devil out. This is something you deal with. You rid yourself of this by adjusting your attitude. You must rid yourself of all such things as these. Now watch this: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language. I want you to see, while that's up there, how all that's connected. All that comes out of your lips because it's coming from your heart through the firewall. And there's a definite connection between violence and profanity and cussing and anger and rage. All this is all connected together. What do you think about bullying? Do you think that, like bullying, how about cussing there? Do you think that that entails some cussing and anger and malice, doing mean things and bullying people? Do you suppose that perhaps that if we could curb the cussing of people in high school and in life, that maybe 70% of this kind of stuff would just go away? If for no other reason, we should work on our attitudes just for our children. Just for our children's sake. I want to throw another thought to you along these same lines. It's sad to me when I really ponder it. But, if you're a person that casual cusses, or if you're a person who chronically cusses, or if you're a person who casually cusses, one of the primary people we'll do it around is our spouse. And it's fascinating when you think about it. See, this should be the person that we're the most protective of. This should be the person that we would avoid doing it, the person that we love more than anything. It would be the person that you wouldn't want to spew out all this stink and negative words and anger and rage and all the things that accompany it. But it usually is the one that hears it the most. Why is that? Have you ever wondered why? Let me tell you why. You see, in our long-term relationships, we don't feel like we've got to be on good behavior anymore. On our long-term, courtship's over. And now you've got to tolerate me. You've got to tolerate my tirades. You've got to put up with my profanities. You've got to put up with my cussing. You've got to put up with my anger, my punching holes in walls and kicking doors. And they do. And it's so sad because it does absolutely nothing for the romantic aspects of a marriage. Does it? Does anger and cussing and all, does it do anything for the romantic aspects of a marriage? No. So with that thought, what do you think about domestic violence? Do you think domestic violence includes cussing and profanities and obscenities and swearing, blasphemy and anger and rage and slander and malice? Do you suppose that perhaps we could cut domestic violence 70% if we could stop cussing? I think so. And when this happens in a home, when this happens in a home and the toilet explodes, she no longer feels like he's her noble knight and Prince Charming. In fact, what she starts feeling like is she's the princess locked up and chained up in a dungeon. And he no longer feels like she's his Cinderella or Snow White. He's determined, I have hooked up with a wicked witch, and I need to watch the apples that she feeds me. See, and it could all be avoided if we would just update our attitude and not let this stuff get into us. If it doesn't get in, it won't come out. And our identity is being exposed. It's identity theft in the highest degree. So, and what it does in our relationships, in our homes, is it actually hurts them, it harms them. It brings a curse on them. Let me show you this. Proverbs 3:33. The Lord's curse is on the house of the wicked, where wicked things, anger, violence, slander, malice, mean words, filthy words, where this stuff is going on. The Lord's curse is there. He can't bless that. But he blesses the home of the righteous, where it's right, where there's a good attitude, where people are happy, where people are doing life and marriage and things right. God blesses it. How many blessings do you suppose we've messed up? How many blessings do you suppose we've missed? Just along this line before I leave this particular thought, divorce, cussing, and anger and malice, slander, filthy language. Do you suppose that plays a large part in divorce? Do you suppose that maybe we could cut the divorce rate 70% if we could get a handle on our attitudes? Wow. I ask you this. What kind of a person do you enjoy being around? You love to associate with? A person who casual cusses or casual cusses or chronically cusses? I mean, cusses everything, everyone, anything about all of life. That's what they do. You want to be around that person, or you want to be around and associate with somebody who's happy, got a great attitude, constantly updates their attitude, finds something good in every situation? Which one do you want to be around? See, when I know which one I want to be around, and I also know which one I want to be. I don't want to be around that stinking attitude. I don't want to be around it. And if you're an employer or if you're a supervisor, you know the benefits of an employee with a great attitude. This is the person that you look forward to seeing at work. They're there on time. They do their job. They do it well. You can depend on them. They come to work with an I can do it, I'll take care of it attitude. And they're smiling while they're doing it. And they're helping you be successful in your life. And if there's anybody that's going to get a promotion, if there's anybody that's going to get a raise, it's going to be that person with a good attitude. The person who's going to go out the door the first, even if they're doing an equal job, is the person with a bad attitude, who stinks. This is the person that we want out the door. And what I want us to see is that when it comes to attitude, it influences every aspect of our life: our children, our marriage, our occupation, our friendships, our relationships. There's not an area of life that attitude does not influence. And we've got to learn that we've got to update this attitude. Update this attitude that we all have. And when we get this, things are going to go so much better in life. Things are going to happen so much better. Even in painful times. I want to tell you this quick story. This was several years back. My son Lance and I, we were on vacation, and we were going out fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. And it was a beautiful day. We had planned this trip. We were going out fishing, just he and I. We don't usually get to go just he and I alone, but this particular day we were going. The skies were blue, the seas were calm. It was beautiful. So we go out there and look for the bait boat so we can acquire some live bait to fish with. And we find it, and I'm holding on to the bait boat so that we won't drift away, so that the transfer of the bait can be easy. Now, this bait boat is a big old orange boat, and it's a wooden boat. It's heavy. It's got this huge live well full of water inside of it, and it's a big old heavy thing. Well, I'm beside it, and this wave comes, and it shoves the bait boat into my boat. And my only problem is my thumb was between them, and it crushed my thumb. Now, you would think, would you, if there was ever a time that a profanity should come out, that would be it. that if there was ever a moment when it would explode out of you, that would be it. But it didn't. I said, "Shoo!" Now, I've wondered about that. Why did I not explode? It's because of my attitude. I was with my son. I was in my beautiful boat. I was in the blue skies. The seas were calm. My attitude. Now, if I had had a bad time before that moment, there's likely something might have come out. My identity may have been revealed that I didn't want revealed. But I was in a good attitude. And you can go through painful situations in life. And if your attitude is right, you can handle it. Attitude determines so much about our lives. And this one thing I do know, those words are not lying. When you got a good attitude, those words are not lying on the very tip of your tongue, just waiting for something sour to happen so they'll come out and defile the whole environment and everybody in it. When your attitude is right, you don't even think about that. Attitude update is so good. We've got to continuously update, continually guard our attitude about things of life. They do. Because what our words do is they trap us. Our words trap us into these bad situations. Let me read this to you. In Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 2. It says, "You have been trapped," look at this, "by what you said. Ensnared by the words of your mouth." How many traps have we gotten into? How many times have we gotten into these traps and these issues and these things in life because of a bad attitude? The book I read another story. And it was about a computer technician, and his job is to help people who are having computer problems, and so he's got his headset on, and this phone call comes in, he answers it, and the guy's already upset. Now, if you've ever done this, if you've ever had to call about your computer to a technician, you've done everything. You're so frustrated to start with. You're angry at the computer. You're angry you're just angry because you've gotten everybody that you know that knows anything about a computer to attempt to fix it, and they can't fix it, and you can't fix it, and all your data's in there, and you've got deadlines, and you've got to get this stuff out, and you've got to make this computer work, and it's not working. And usually now when you call a technician, they're from some foreign land, some country, and you can't half understand them, and you just detest doing it. So you finally get one on the phone, and this guy's already angry when he calls, and all the things that the technician's attempting to help him fix his computer don't work, and so he's accelerated now. He's using profanities, and he's cussing, and he's screaming them out over the telephone. At this, he's cussing the technician, he's cussing the company, he's cussing his computer. He's just using profanities and blasphemies. He's swearing and obscenities coming out of his mouth, and so the tech, it's killing him. I mean, he's screaming it in his ear. So he takes the headset off and lays it down, and he can still hear the guy screaming with the headset on his desk. And so he's waiting for the guy to get done, And finally it goes silent. And then he hears moaning and weeping on the phone, on the headset. So he picks it up and he says, "Are you okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm okay." He said, "But my computer's, it's done. I've lost my data forever." The text says, did your hard drive crash? And he said, "Yeah, along with the rest of the computer." He said, "I threw the blankety-blank thing out the third-story window of our building." So what happens is when these things happen to us, we explode. It fuels, the cussing fuels the anger and the rage and the malice. We do mean things. We do stupid things. We do foolish things. It comes out of us, and it shows the part of our identity that we don't want to be even in there. And it crushes stuff. It just crushes things in life. It crushes everything. Proverbs 15:13. A happy heart makes the face cheerful. It can handle stuff. A happy heart, a happy attitude can just handle stuff. And you go through life, even though crazy things happen, and you can handle it. You're cheerful. But a heartache crushes the spirit. A heartache crushes the spirit. But it doesn't only crush your spirit. It crushes computers. It crushes walls. It crushes doors. It crushes hearts. It crushes lives. read that verse in Proverbs 6:2 that we trap ourselves. How many traps have we been in that kept us from really enjoying life the way we should? Crush a computer, crush a wall. We crush marriages. We crush families. We crush opportunities. See, how many times in our lives has someone come along that we exploited a negative attitude to, and they saw that and didn't take us maybe to another opportunity to introduce us to someone who could actually change our lives? But because of our negative attitude, I'm not going to introduce you to. How many times has this trapped us? And it becomes so necessary that we keep these updates current in our hearts and our lives, because that malware is going to find a way around, under, over, through that firewall if at all possible. And you've got to keep it updated. You've got to keep it cleaned up. You've got to keep it adjusted. We got to learn how to keep our attitudes adjusting. So have you ever told someone your attitude stinks? I think probably we have, and probably our children. Maybe the last couple of days, and did they? Did their attitude stink? Yeah, they smell like a septic tank or like a skunk, right? Has anybody ever told you your attitude stunk? Did you? Yeah, like a septic tank, like a skunk. You run from a skunk, don't you? I mean, just a little cute little animal, just a little bitty thing. That's so cutie. Yeah, won't hurt nothing, will it? They'll spray you with skunk juice, and it'll get on you. And I've never had any, but from what I hear, it is impossible just about to get it off your clothes. Just burn them. I mean, you can't hardly get it off your body because you're sprayed with skunk juice, and now you stink like that skunk. See, when our attitudes stink, nobody wants to be around us. They'll run from us. Oh, we're so cute. No, you're not. You stink, right? So what I want to close up with today is I want to give us 5 ways to clean up a skunky attitude, right? 5 ways that we can maybe help ourselves to clean up our stinking attitudes, okay? Number 1, the first way is stop procrastinating. Stop procrastinating. Stop waiting until the last minute to do what you know you got to do. Don't wait till that to do it. Because what happens, and we all have done it, I'm not a procrastinator, but from time to time, I'll put stuff off. Around here on Sunday morning, sometimes I will have forgotten to do something or something's not working like I want it to. And everybody says, he's stinking. Well, stay away from him. He'll be okay after a while. He'll be his cute old self again. But right now, leave the skunk alone. But we all do this because what happens is we get rushed and we get in a hurry and we make mistakes and we stress out. And then we start stinking, and that stinking attitude starts building inside of us. And it won't be long before the skunk trigger pulls, and out it comes, and we spew everything and everyone. Procrastinating. If we had just done it when we knew we should have done it, we would avoid the stinking attitude. And others procrastinating, that gets to us, It's not just my procrastination that gets to me, it's others procrastinating that gets to me. It was someone who wanted to come to church. Loved coming to church. But the spouse was always procrastinating about getting ready on time. So this got to the person so badly that they just stopped coming to church. Well, okay, then we just won't go at all. Finally come to a realization, I want to go to church. And here's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to let that get to me. When it comes time to leave, I'm leaving. Spouse is ready, go with us. If not, I'm gone. And what I'm wanting you to see is, you can't do anything about someone else procrastinating. Oh, you can talk to them, you can try to get them going, but most of the time, until they make the decision to not procrastinate, they're going to procrastinate. But what you can do is not let that get to you by keeping your attitude adjusted. If you'll keep a right attitude, they're procrastinating again, but I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm not going to let it mess with me, right? And so we've got to learn how to handle these kinds of things. And how about procrastinating on going somewhere? And we wait to the last minute to leave, and then we're late. And so we're rushing, we're hurrying, getting there. Traffic and things that hinder us getting to wherever that we're going is far less damaging and decaying to my attitude when I leave on time, right? Or a little bit early. It helps my attitude. There are little things, little simple things that we can do in life that we should be doing anyway. Will help our attitudes stop stinking. Okay? That's number one. Number two, what's the second one? How about reading the directions? Or for us guys, asking for directions, right? Now, reading, it bothers me. It's attitude decaying to me to have spent a couple of hours putting something together to find out I messed up. I didn't put it together correctly. Now I've got to spend a couple of hours taking it apart, fix it, and then put it together again for a couple of hours. It's taken me 3 times as long to put this thing together, and had I just read the directions, I would have never have gotten a sour, stinking attitude. I'd have been proud of myself. But instead, now I stink. Simply just reading directions. And asking us guys, we didn't ask for directions. Judy and I, we were on our 25th wedding anniversary. We were going to Niagara Falls. Oh, things are good, And we were going up and went through New York. We wanted to go through New York. So we went through New York. and we got turned around in New York City. So we wanted to get to our hotel, and we could see our hotel, but we couldn't get to our hotel. You see, in New York City, if you've never been, it's not like here. You get off an exit, and you can get back on an exit. It doesn't work that way there. You can get off, but you can't get back on. And so we got off at an exit. I ended up, I don't know where. Judy was frightened. We didn't know where we were in New York City, and we could not get back. We finally got back to the interstate. We finally found by this time in that big old Grand Marquis, we had that thing so stinking. She was mad, I was mad. We were both skunks, I'm telling you. All I had to do was stop at a safe place and ask for directions. How am I going to do it? I'll find it. I don't know, it's something about us guys. We got this pioneer spirit, We've got this inward compass, we think, that'll get us wherever we want to. We can go across the whole United States and find where we want to go. Yeah, sure you can. You'll stink like a skunk. How much simpler, how much better would life be if we just did some simple things like that, like read directions, right? See, it's the little bitty things that mess us up. We don't catch it. We don't get that firewall up. Let me read you this scripture. Song of Solomon, 2:15. Catch for us the foxes. Catch. Let's catch these things. Catch for us the foxes, the little foxes that ruin the vineyards. Our vineyards that are in bloom. See, life is blooming. 25th wedding anniversary. We're going to Niagara Falls. Whoa, life is good. Until New York City. And the little things in life. It's the catching those little things, getting that firewall up, that it's updated, that it stops this stuff from coming in. Little bitty things. If we can just do those little things, life will be so much better. All right, that's number 1 and 2. What about number 3? How about make reminders that work? Now, we all have reminders, right? But nothing decays my attitude more than forgetting to do something important, like filling up the baptismal pool. Now, that's important. We're talking souls. We're talking something huge to me. In 30 years of ministry, I've never forgotten to fill up the baptismal pool until one time, just a couple of weeks ago. Now, my best way of reminding myself is write myself an email because it's constantly popping up. My email program, you got mail and all this stuff going on. So I'm constantly reminding myself of this. But it's not good to look at your email at 11:30 on Saturday night when you should have filled up the baptismal pool that day. So reminders that work. What is your best reminder? Years back, we had a ministerial association going on, and I was the secretary and treasurer of it, and Warren Moorhead over at First Baptist, he was the president. And back then, we were talking about taking prayer out of school. That really wasn't what it was. It was just up to the school, specific school system, what they wanted to do with it. But we wanted to know what was going to happen here in Walker County. So I wanted to do it. I wanted to go talk to him. I called the superintendent, set up an appointment for 9 o'clock one morning, and I asked Warren if he would go with me, and he did. He said yes. And so comes that day, I forget the meeting. Warren goes. I've totally forgotten about it. Now, how do you think that made me feel? I felt so humiliated. I felt so ignorant. Is that the guy over there at that Lifegate church? That church. It's that guy over there. What is your best way of remembering? What is your best reminder? Does it work? Because it's one of those little things that makes life so much better and keeps our attitudes from thinking. All right, well, number 4. How about organizing better? All right? We lose our keys and we blame somebody for taking them. And come to find out, no, I just didn't put them where I should have put them, and where are those batteries that I just purchased a couple of days ago in that remote? I know I put them right here. Come to find out, you didn't put them right there. Or that tool you're looking for, you possess this tool, and you need this tool to work on something, and I know somebody has stolen my tool. They've taken my tool. I know they have, because I always put it back right here. Then a couple of days later, you find it exactly where you were working on something a few days earlier, and you left it because you were not organized. And we're fussing at everybody, everything. We go through the house on a tirade. We're slamming doors and drawers. We're just looking everywhere. And our attitude stinks. Being better organized. And then at number 5, the 5th one, and I think it encompasses everything that we're talking about here. And the biggest thing that I can possibly give you is to come to the realization that every single day of your life, something is going to annoy you, aggravate you, and frustrate you, and probably several times during a day. Does that mean you get angry and cuss several times during the day? See, if you call yourself a casual cusser, then you're going to cuss several times a day. You're going to be angry several times a day. No, you don't have to. See, let me give you this. If I know something's going to happen, why do I let it frustrate me and anger me? All right, let me use this for an example. Our daughter Bonnie lives about 1 hour and 45 minutes away. It takes us about that long to get there. Now, I've got to go from my house, 136, over the mountain, 1-lane road, and then I get on the 3-lane interstate, and then eventually it's 5-lane interstate. Now, I know that before I get to my daughter's house and then get off on 285 and go down Smyrna, I know that there's going to be several conspiracies that's going to be plotted against me. I know that there's going to be a time when all 5 lanes are blocked and I can't get through. I know this. I know probably before I get over the mountain it's going to happen. And I know in 2 lanes it's going to happen, and in 3 lanes. I know this is going to happen. So what I've got to do is I know it's going to happen. Okay, well then prepare yourself. Okay. And so, Delbert, you need to know. This is going to happen to you on the way down there. Okay. So when I come up behind it, it's not like it's going to surprise me. It's not going to broadside me. I know it's going to happen. What do I do then? Do I get mad now? No. What I'll do, instead of getting angry, I'll laugh. See, I told you. I knew it was going to happen. And it's a total different attitude. And so what you got to come to a place in realizing that stuff's going to happen every single day of life. And you determine whether it gets to you and brings your identity out of you, or you block it and you keep a happy heart. Now, bottom line to what we talked about last time and what we're talking about today. Bottom line of this whole thing is this. It's your attitude that makes you mad and angry, not people and not situations. I'll say it again. It's your attitude that makes you mad and angry and cuss, not people and not situations. You're always going to find and have encounter every single day of your life some situation. There's always going to be somebody that's going to annoy you. There's some annoying person who's going to cross your path every single day of your life. Now, the trick is, don't let that cause you to cuss. See, the secret, the key of not cussing, not getting angry, not using profanities and filthy language and fueling and raging and slandering and all that stuff, it's not getting new words. It's not using cleaner words. It's not replacing my dirty words with nicer words. I want to replace these 4-letter words with these 4-letter words. No. What you want to come to is a place where you don't need to cuss, where your attitude doesn't need to cuss because it just hasn't gotten to you, and it's not going to come out of you. The trick is the attitude, but not just for cussing, for all of life. All of life is better. Your relationship with your children are better. Your relationship with your spouse is better. Your home life's better. Your workplace is better. Your friendships are better. It's the key. Updating, adjusting, and cleaning up that attitude is the key for a good, happy life. And what happens is your attitude becomes this bright light for your life, where things are dark and dim and traps are out there for you and potholes are out there for you. It's like in an automobile, you have the bright headlights and you can see out there. It diminishes the darkness and you're able to see the traps, you're able to see the potholes, and you're able to avoid so many issues of life. Get the blessings from God, not the curse. And it becomes, we become so much more efficient. I'm efficient if I'm not mad. I'm efficient if I'm not frustrated and aggravated by this little situation that probably means nothing in 2 hours. But I've allowed it to stop me. My productivity has terminated. I'm more efficient when I adjust my attitude. When I adjust my attitude, I realize I'm going to live longer. My blood pressure is not going to go up. I won't get punched or shot. I'm going to be happier. I'm going to be healthier. My life's going to be better. I don't have to think about a stroke or heart attack. I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to be wiser. I'm going to be wiser. I'm going to be happier. Definitely happier. This is why I know Jesus was a happy person. Because happy people love people. You don't love people when you're angry and mad and cussing. Happy people love people. Happy people forgive people. Happy people are uncondemning. Happy people are more energetic. Happy people make better decisions. You don't make a good decision when you're angry. You don't make a good decision when you're mad and cussing. Happy people are more focused on what's really important in life and what isn't. Attitude. If we'll learn to update, clean up, and adjust our attitude, all of life will be better. Your cussing will at least diminish, if not stop. But not just cussing. Everything, your anger, your meanness, your slandering, talking about people, everything in life, your relationship at home, with your children, with your occupation, your relationships, everything gets brighter because of adjusting our attitude. And as we talked last time, Jesus said that out of the treasure of the heart, a good man says good things, and out of the heart, an evil person says evil things, right? And when we keep our attitudes right, then what our heart is a treasure chest full of good stuff. And our mouth is gold, and our tongue is silver. But when we're angry and mad and cussing, our heart is a septic tank, and our mouth is a toilet, and our tongue is septic. When we adjust our attitudes, what happens in our life is we become a honeycomb. People want to partake of our lives and enjoy life with us. But when we're not, we're a headache and a heartache, and people flee from us, don't want anything to do with us. When your attitude is right, and you've adjusted it, when you have cleaned it up and you've updated your attitude, you will be a person of character and integrity. And if you don't, you're just a character. Let me pray.